All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone around the world, good afternoon and welcome back, but not to fishing. So it is early October 3rd, I believe, right now, and I almost went fishing today. It's a beautiful day out, but we're in that weird middle section of the year where fluke season just ended and blackfish season has yet to begin. And I thought about going out and doing like some porgy jigging and hope that maybe stripers showed up, but I was just too tired and worn out, and I just, got a lot of work to do. So I decided to hang out and get caught up on some things that I've been neglecting, and one of which is what I'm hopefully about to show you right now. I'm gonna try and repair my old kayak. Been running around a lot. I moved, and now that I have a much more spacious area, I have the space and an outlet and tools to try and repair my old kayak. So that's what I'm gonna try and do in this video. I'm gonna have to plastic weld it in a couple different spots. I've got some other tools to try and make this work. I know there's other videos of this on YouTube, and I'm using them kind of as a reference of how to do this, but due to the nature of the crack that I have, I might have to do some different things that, don't necessarily apply to those. So I'm hoping this thing will work. If it doesn't, then you'll probably never even see this. I'm hoping at the very least I'll get like at least a trickle rather than a flood of water. I mean, I'm getting a replacement hull. In fact, the hull's here. I'm just waiting on the seat to come in with it because the whole supply chain thing has been screwed up. So soon you'll see me on my new boat, but let's see if we can get this one fixed, because it'd be great if I had two functioning Hobies. So we're gonna go out back and do what we have to do to fix this thing to go fishing. It's true, so stay tuned because y'all know what we're about to do. Not really, but get some fishing accomplished in the future on this kayak. I don't know. Stay tuned. Okay, so this is where my kayak has been for like the last month or so since I've moved. And it's just been laying here in the sun. Definitely got to clean it up a little bit, get some of these leaves off, but the main crack that's been, the buzzkill is this one right here, which I honestly don't know if I'll be able to properly fix it, but we're gonna try. And it goes up to inside the kayak, so it's gonna be tough. But again, like I said, I'm okay with the trickle. This won't be my main kayak, this will be like maybe my side kayak, but if we could take the flood and make it a trickle, that would be perfectly fine. But yeah, this has got to go. But we got to get this thing lifted up, so let's actually move this stuff around. One thing that I'll say about Hobies, folks, if you didn't know, is they are not small, they are not light. In fact, people that have told me they've gotten rid of their Hobies, they just said because they're very cumbersome to deal with. So let's get all brolic and lift this thing up and get it up on the stand. Here we go. That's one thing I liked about this one more than the other one that I'm borrowing, is it has these solid handles, which are much easier to manage than, say, the soft one on the pre-2016. All right, now this is up here. We're gonna have to clean this out. We got more cracks along here. I'll do some quick ones here. These are like the easiest ones, I think, to deal with, but even they'll be somewhat tricky. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do that I've read is you have to basically go to where there's a crack and basically just block off the crack. So you'll notice like it's going on both sides, and these both started off like microscopic and they've been spreading. So I'm gonna go basically like to the extreme edge, and we're just gonna drill down and make a new hole to stop the stress crack. So we're gonna give that a go, and hopefully that'll work. In fact, let's move this stuff out of the way, because these are just going to get in my way as we do this. There we go. And these aren't big holes, just little ones. We don't want to obviously make a huge hole in the kayak. This is a good practice because I know I have a new kayak coming eventually, so there's no real pressure if I totally screw up or mess something up a little bit. Let's do the same thing over here for these cracks. We'll definitely need to clean this up a little bit. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is try and clean this area up a little bit. Start by just getting some sandpaper. There's a little debris that's kind of collected, so we're just gonna kind of gently go along this. It's like medium coarse sandpaper. This side I even taped up at one point. see if that would make a difference, but just clean this up because obviously we don't want any debris getting in the way of any of the materials we put here. I don't expect this to look perfect, but we can definitely do better than what we have right now. Okay, next thing we're gonna do, we've sanded and tried to clean away some of the adhesive from, you know, just the temporary fixes I've had on this. I've tried to even like kind of cut a little bit of it away. So what we're gonna do now is try and, please excuse that plane, use some alcohol to try and clean away any other debris that might be around here, just to get a more proper weld. So yeah, just some isopropyl alcohol, 99%. Clean away at these spots. It's not gonna be perfect, but you know, that's just this YouTube channel. It's just the janky fix, so clean away. It's pretty dirty. And I won't show this for every single weld that I do here, but you can just assume that I'm gonna be doing this, so. And I'll also say anything that I'm using in this process will be linked in the description, so just know that. Okay, so we have these little mesh things that we want to put on each of the punctures. So this is going to lay down against what will eventually be plastic welded onto it. So we've got to make one for each of these. So we're going to grab our scissors and cut off a piece for each puncture. So we want to make sure it's not like too skimpy. There should be like a good ½ inch or so on each side. So it's a really weird placement, but I think this will work. So we'll just do it like this. We've got quite a bit of mesh, but we also have some fairly large punctures here. So we don't want to go too crazy, but yeah, I'll just cut like that. That should do. Give ourselves plenty of wiggle room to work with. I might cut this down a little. But yeah, we got that cut, and now we need to have our plastic welder heating up, and eventually once that's heated up, probably like in 10 minutes, we'll start laying down the rods that we need to weld this together. All right, so the next step is we have these plastic welding rods, and they're the same kind of plastic that I hope the boat is. You can be very specific, not just any plastic will work. There's a specific type of plastic, but the name's escaping me right now. I'll make sure to leave it linked in the description and probably flashed on the screen right now. But we're gonna cut a piece that should kind of work for this, so around that length. We'll overdo it just to be sure. Leave that right there. And then we got like 2 separate ones here, so we'll go there. And another one here. And we have no shortage of these. We have a whole bunch of them, though they're not all the same color as this boat. But yeah. We're gonna melt these on with our plastic welder, and then we're going to mesh over them. So let's get that started. So full disclosure, I'm like one of the least handy people in the world. Actually, I forgot. One thing I want to do is create like a groove. So we're taking the head of this and just going in so the plastic kind of can get in a little bit more. So just pushing in, giving like a foundation for the rods to lay in. Melting down, not going crazy, but you know, creating like a little bit of a reservoir for these rods to go into. Almost blew that. Yeah, this thing's nice and hot. Now with this thing, we're going to feed it in like so, and just, yeah, I've never done this before, so this is new. I'm probably not doing the greatest job, but whatever. This side is not as consequential. It's flat, it's easy. It's the bottom of the kayak that's going to be tough, but it's going in pretty easily, so that's a big plus. Hopefully it'll hold. We're just going to smooth it out with this knife. Let's get that all the way in. We're just going to rub that in so it really sticks on. Definitely not going to let this thing sit on the kayak. Just smooth it out so it fully covers that crack in the holes we drilled. Probably use a little bit more of this. Go over it one more time. And we're just trying to press this in. In fact, now I think we can probably try and get this mesh to try and settle into. So we're holding down the mesh with this knife and then trying to get the plastic to kind of stick to it. Yeah, there we go. It's starting to go through. And again, we're just molding the mesh into the plastic and molding all that to the boat. Trying to cover as much of that crack as we can and make this all just be like one unit. And we're gonna start to try to now press this new weld, press this new rod in there to get it so it's really, you know, one cohesive unit. Alright, so this first one's coming along pretty good. Might not be the prettiest thing in the world, but it's definitely getting on there. So we'll do the same thing with this one, and hopefully it goes off just as smoothly. It's definitely warm out, so hopefully that helps expedite things, but we'll see. Let's get back to work. Yeah, this one's a little bit trickier as it kind of goes in a depression in the boat, but we're basically just doing the same thing. We're just doing this one in smaller pieces though. Laying down the plastic, welding it into the reservoir, and then putting over the mesh and then melting the mesh to the plastic. That's what's going on here. Nothing too crazy. Taking our time, but honestly, this is all a learning experience. Unfortunately, I got another boat coming in, so even if I colossally screw this up, it's not the end of the world. It's definitely helpful to have pliers, as this stuff is very hot and you definitely don't want to get burned by this. Okay, so we went over both of these cracks. Let these dry out. I can maybe clean this up a little bit, but I got actually another layer of something I'm going to put on there, but we'll get to that when we get to that. We're now going to go after this one. This one's quite large, as you can see, and I don't expect to fully seal this, but we can definitely make this look better than it does. But first thing we got to do is definitely clean this out, and then we'll go under the kayak, see what we can do. Reservoir. It actually turns out I noticed another crack that I didn't even know was here. This plastic really gave out at the seat. Maybe it's all that COVID weight I put on this here, I don't know, but either way I gotta tend to it. Make a little reservoir. See if we can fold this back in a little, and then we're gonna place our rods. Alright, so this one was a tremendous pain in the ass to deal with just because it was such a wide separation, but we did the best we could. Like I said, I'm going to throw something over this and these ones to maybe get even more of a seal. I don't know if it's going to work or help, but we'll try. But now it's the one that is the biggest buzzkill. We're going to try and deal with this one, which starts here and goes all the way to the other side. So we'll start with this side. We've already drilled the hole. We'll clean this area up and hopefully get a good plastic weld. Pretty tough angle to get this plastic, but I'm pretty sure we can get what we need on here. Just trying to melt it so this whole crack that's kind of going along the seam fully seals up. So we're going to lay our ground layer, and then we're going to put the mesh down. Of course, it's really difficult. Might be easier to do the side by flipping it over, but we'll get done what we can here before we have to do that. Really lay it on. It's not going to look pretty, but as long as it seals the crack, we're good. right, we got that mesh laid down and we're just mashing it in, and now we're gonna actually reinforce it with another rod with this red. Might be a little big, but whatever. Probably should get like proper pliers for this, but we'll do what we can. Just really be careful here. It's such a weird angle.
Let's push that down. There it is.
This is such a crappy angle to work with, but we gotta do the best we can. Now we gotta flip. We'll first take everything off the kayak. Make sure everything's clear, especially that plastic welder. We gotta flip it over. We gotta do the bottom section of the leak. All right, come on. All right, let's finish what we started. We're just going over the mesh, but we also got to work on this crack too. So just trace a little bit of a reservoir. Oh yeah, we're forgetting the most important part. We gotta drill a hole. So let's do that. Looks like this crack goes more or less to about here, so there we go. And it continues along here, so yeah, we'll just do that. All right, where were we? Just tracing along the crack, giving a little reservoir. This is the crack that did me in last season, or this season. So let's see if we can get some more life to this boat. Again, slowly but surely, just sealing up the crack.
So let's seal crack.
And the final step, just welding on this last mesh and just putting some rods over it to get a better seal, and hoping this is all it takes. I don't know if it's going to work, but if you're watching this, it probably will, because I wouldn't just make a video for something that was a no-go. I don't know what's going on in the background over there. Pardon the interruptions. Alright, so it's not pretty, but it's, you know, it's fairly welded. So I'm going to give this a second to cool, and I'm going to throw this gator patch on top of it, and just as another layer to hopefully, you know, keep water out. I mean, these things are, I've been told, very strong in keeping water out, so we'll find out. But I'm going to let it cool just a little more as it's still kind of warm to the touch. Okay, so it might not be the prettiest job. I took some gator patches and threw them on. They're not really sticking on too well, so I might just end up losing them. But I'm letting them sit in the sun just to give the benefit of the doubt. I have one on the other side too, which I'll flip over in about an hour. I don't think I'm going to take the kayak out today, but I will obviously test this to see how it holds up. It's not the prettiest job, but you know, I really tried to get inside here, get a good seal. So I'm hoping at the very least this thing will be seaworthy again. If not, we can go back in and try and seal it up again. But I'm okay with a little bit of a trickle. I just don't want to flood like before, but maybe this will do the trick. I don't know. You'll have to wait for that part of the video. But stay tuned for that. Alright folks, well, it's been about a week since we shot the last part of this video. Sealed up the kayak to the best of our ability. And I tried to test it out that day, but I couldn't find a lake within like 20 minutes of me, or body of water for that matter, to go out on, so I didn't. and I was really busy this whole week, so I didn't get a chance to do that either. But now I got some time to do this, and I'm also scouting some spots for blackfish, so we're gonna see if we did half a decent job with this hull seal, and see if it's ready to get back in the water. Stay tuned. Oh man, I must look like a total kook right now. It is not a nice day out. Like, no one in their right mind would be taking a kayak out right now, but I've really got nothing better to do other than all the work I've got stacked up to do, which I'll do after this. But I just need to know for my own sanity, is this gonna work? And if you're watching this, I'm hoping the answer is yes. Otherwise, I don't even know if I would put this on the internet. But yeah, eagerly anticipating the result, as I'm sure some of you are as well. And if this is a success, then I'm hoping some of you will save yourself thousands of dollars and not buying a new kayak. Let's check it out. All right, folks, moment of truth. Oh man, it's been a while. Let's adjust this seat, because it's not even. Now it's even. Nice to sit in an actual seat for a change. All right, well, we're on the water. This thing is quite beat up. How are we looking so far? Got a trickle. I mean, some of that might be from this bag. So let's move around a little bit, see what happens. All right, the real question is how this thing will hold up if we try and lock in the Mirage drive. So we're moving around. Do a little bit of a loser lap. So we're moving, and that's not the thing that was, you know, in question. We knew we could move. The question is, will we remain water safe and all that? Nothing too bad yet, just the water we're getting in from the top. Right now it's 12:15, so we got to give it a little time to really wear in, see how we hold up. I mean, I'm okay with the trickle, I just can't have a flood like it was before. Cool to be out here though. I also wanted to see what it'd be like here with the winds, because they're basically going to stay the same, and it's definitely moving right now. I think I'd be better off trying to fish from shore than take this thing out tomorrow. But I think honestly, if it's going to be like this, I'll probably freshwater fish tomorrow. Stay away from the city for today. I don't feel like making the trek down here just to maybe really get into porgies. Plus I'd have to buy bait, and I don't really feel like doing that. But this is definitely an area I'll check out. Maybe on this kayak, maybe on the other. I just spooked something. I mean, maybe if I got here early enough, we can get in some stripers. I don't know. How we looking? Well, it's definitely not as bad as it was. I mean, if this was like it was before, we'd be filled up right now. Let's keep moving. See what we can do. Push the envelope. Good to be back on a regular seat on the kayak. Like, I feel like I've done so much wear and tear to my back in the last 3 months from that fabric seat, which I'm still gonna have to use. I mean, I'm gonna use that until I get my replacement hull and chair and all that stuff. But at least now, like, if I just can't handle it, I can go on this thing if it's gonna hold up, which yet again still has to be determined. But it's good to be on this. Is the way, you know, the way we originally intended. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's a little chop. Yeah, this definitely isn't happening tomorrow, because it's gonna be like this, if not even worse. But this definitely looks like a promising spot for the future. Oh, we got a whole school of bunker right here. Check this out. Whole school of bunker. Just chilling right here. Practically scoop them up, you know, with my hands. Go right over them. What up, bunker? All right, we're actually getting rained on pretty good right now, so just do a little loser lap action. I mean, this could be something worth doing tomorrow. It might not be the best blackfish day, but we could probably get on some stripers and porgies or something. Let's do a little bit more exploration. How we looking? Still good. Still good. Just the water that's coming in from the top, you know, coming in through the Mirage Drive area. more bunker. Bunker on top of bunker. Stripers might be an option if blackfish isn't, which is cool. I'm just gonna pedal around for a little longer. I don't feel like getting soaked, and I'm obviously not fishing right now. But yeah, again, I gotta see how this thing holds up. We have repeated stress on it because that's a very stress-inducing spot. I will say, you know, like regardless of how this video goes, you know, and how well this fix handles, I don't think this is an all or nothing thing. Like, this kayak is probably gonna need maintenance for however long I decide to hold on to it, but I feel better about that with my moral compass than, say, just like curbing this thing and having it wind up in a landfill somewhere, or, you know, having to shell out hundreds of dollars probably to have this thing shipped back to Hobie. I looked it up online. If you wanted to properly dispose of one of these and have it recycled, Hobie, I think, wants you to, you know, dismember this thing and send it back to California in several boxes. So if I can find a way to, you know, Frankenstein fix this thing and, you know, hold on to it, this can always be like my throw around or my toss around kayak. Like, this will be the kayak that I do the surf launches with, you know, in a stripped down fashion. If this thing gets a little beat up, you know, I smash it into a rock or whatever, you know, it hits the sandbar, at least like I'm repairing something that's already kind of messed up than screwing up my nice kayak. So that's what I'm hoping will happen. So far we've been on the water for about 10 minutes and haven't had any real issues. But again, we gotta, you know, give it a little bit more time. And even if this thing is good to go, I don't foresee myself really using it too much until maybe next fishing season, or if I take out a friend, you know, I'll take this one out and have my friend take out the good one, or vice versa, depending on how good a friend they are. But yeah, let's just do a couple more loser laps, get a lay of the land, and we'll go back in and give it our final verdict. All right, it's getting pretty snotty wind and rain-wise, so we're gonna make our way back to launch, but we've been on the water for at least 25 minutes or so. So we're gonna go in, bring this thing to the car, open up the hatch and see just how much water we took in. And inside the car, I'll give you my final verdict on how well this worked and let you know if this is something I think you should try if you're in the same boat as me. Let's make our way back before we get absolutely drenched. All right, so I know the screen is probably all screwed up. Let's take a look at the hatch. Got a little water, but nothing like what it was before. I mean, and I think some of this probably came in from the hatch itself, so definitely an improvement. Still not perfect, but we can always go back in and seal it a bit more. So I'm gonna put this thing away and I'll catch you in the car. Okay, so we just got in the car, got the kayak on the roof rack, and I guess the verdict is this, folks. I'm soaking wet right now, but fortunately it's not because my boat sank, it's just because it started pouring out. And while a little bit of water did get inside the hull, that still was nothing compared to what we left off with in the summer. You know, if this was how it was before I attempted to seal it, that boat would have been completely submerged under. I mean, I was out there for a good half hour plus. I guess the verdict is this. It's definitely something I can live with. This won't be my primary boat. This will be my secondary, or if I go out with friends or whatever, or take my wife out, I'll be on this, and whoever I'm with will be on my good one. But is this it for this boat? No. Like, I'll use it. I'm happy that it's not gonna have to sit in a landfill. Am I not going to have to maintain this? I definitely will. I'm gonna probably have to go over that with the plastic weld a couple more times, but again, much happier with that than, say, you know, just letting this thing rot in a landfill, or just throwing it out, or, you know, having to pay all this money to ship it across the country. So with that being said, I guess this was somewhat of a success, especially considering the nature of where that crack is. So I hope this was helpful to anyone else that has cracks in their kayak, especially if it's in a place that isn't so tricky like where I got mine. I will say at least give it a shot to weld it up. All is not lost, especially if you do not have a warranty on your boat. So hope you found this useful. If you did, make sure to like the video, consider subscribing. I've got all kinds of stuff in this channel if you haven't checked it out already. So with that being said, I'm hoping to bring you an actual fishing video for the next one. I'm not sure what kind it will be yet, game time decision, but regardless, thank you for watching, and of course, goodbye from fishing.